This is the Wealthy Retailer Podcast with your host, Dan Holman. Every episode, Dan talks with a variety of retail experts, owners, managers, and so much more, sharing their expertise, their experiences, and the retail topics that matter to you, the independent retailer. The Wealthy Retailer Podcast is brought to you by Canadian Retail Solutions. Learn more at retailbycrs.com.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wealthy Retailer Podcast. So glad you could join us this week. My guest joining us today, Michelle Hougland. I hope I pronounced her last name correctly. Yes. Michelle has been a successful online entrepreneur for over 17 years with multiple streams of income. Through desperation to replace her dental career income years ago so she could stay home with her newborn, Michelle jumped into her online business with passion and no experience, much like the rest of us. Jump in with both feet. She quickly learned how to succeed and thrive as an online entrepreneur. Out of her desire to help save others from the same pitfalls she encountered early on, Michelle authored her digital ebook and online course, eBay Consignment, The Easy Way. Now, working with a publishing company, she'll be soon launching her book in print, digital, and audible form, Online Consignment, The Easy Way. Over the years, she has received awards such as eBay Top Seller and Power Seller. She's taught on many stages, but her favorite platforms were discovered in January 2020 when she launched her own YouTube channel, Paladin Global Market, and in August 2020, her podcast that followed, Paladin Global Markets Online Business Podcast. So retailers, we have a fully experienced guest with us today. We're going to chat a little bit about e-com, perhaps a little bit more about eBay. Some of us have forgotten that eBay is actually a marketplace. We lean hard on our own e-com channels. So let's dive in. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, Dan. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for that great introduction. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, let's dig in. So yes. I sort of read through in that bio, 17 years ago, with a bit of desperation, you jumped in with both feet. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And it kind of caught me by surprise. So I love business. I always have. 15 years into my dental career. Everything is going good. I was pregnant with my first child. And so planned the normal maternity leave, 6 weeks. I'll be back, keep the office going. I'll see you guys, And then when I held this beautiful little girl, it hit me like a ton of bricks. What in the heck am I doing? I can't go back. What am I doing? So I desperately looked for something to be able to replace my income. And 6 weeks came and passed. I had to return back to work. I could not find anything to replace it until the one morning when I was putting on my shoes, getting ready for work, had the TV on, which I normally don't do, saw this commercial about this guy talking about eBay. And this is 2005, so it was the newest, hottest thing. And I thought that could be it. That could allow me to stay home with her and make a great income in the process. And that launched my story. And wow, was that a learning journey for sure.
Yeah. So what products did you launch in your eBay store?
Oh my gosh, anything I could get my hands on. I started first with everything around my house, just trying to resell things that I thought would be a good item. I had no clue. I really had no clue what I was doing. And then I started looking into wholesale places and drove, a couple states away to go to this warehouse to find these Disney items that, thank God, turned out to be great items to resell. And the rest is history. After that, that was a process of learning. Wow, that's going to be my constant thing as a business owner for online reselling is finding great inventory, which led me into consignment later on.
And consignment, eBay, back in the day, I think back in 2005 to 2007 or 8, eBay was very much whatever we can get our hands on to turn over. That was a lot of the strategy. Outside of tickets and collectibles or memorabilia, anything you needed, you kind of went to eBay first to see, long before the big A rolled into town.
Right.
And so today, is eBay a viable option for a retailer that's selling goods, on their own Shopify site or some other version of an e-commerce site? Is eBay still an opportunity for them to sell goods?
Great question. So I sell on many other platforms than just eBay, Amazon as well, the big A. And I have launched my own private label product that I've sold on many different channels than just that. But I have to say, I did the research. I did a YouTube video recently about comparing the marketplaces, and I really pulled the stats on it. And although Amazon by far is the giant when it comes to selling products, can you believe that eBay is second still?
Still, wow.
Still, like, in it's second by a landslide to the Poshmarks, Mercari's, Depop's, Shopify's. As we know,
Mm.
having my own website, driving traffic to our own website to try to sell our items can be a little difficult at times. So, yep, by far, believe it or not, two
Yeah,
decades later, it's still a dinosaur in the industry, but it's working great.
but it still works. And
Oh
so
yeah.
do we look to the same sort of level of integration to get products from our existing store pushed out into these other marketplaces? And there really are, Michelle, there really are a ton of marketplaces available to
Mhm.
us. And if we're looking from a business to consumer perspective, there's probably a baker's dozen that are really easily
Yeah.
accessible today to
Yeah.
sell goods. And are we looking to some level of technology to push from our own Shopify store? Are you managing multiple marketplaces on an ongoing basis?
Great question. I know that there are platforms, there are things out there that can help you to manage the different platforms all in one house. For me personally, I do manage it individually with each one. Because I sell consignment, I sell everything from those well-known collectibles that people go to eBay for
Sure.
to things that you probably are a little more common knowledge that eBay is a powerhouse for keyword optimization, and they advertise for us on Google and bring traffic in on the first and second pages of Google, which is just incredible that we can get that from our listing fees that we get from there. But I manage it directly based on the item that I'm selling. I sell vehicles as well. I'm a reseller. I sell, whatever is going to resell and hold a good market value. So Facebook Marketplace, Auto Trader, you name
Yeah.
it. I go to the platform based on the item that I'm selling.
And are most of your products consignment driven sales, or are you out there curating assortment, curating products, and then pushing it out to the marketplace?
50-50. I
Okay.
do both. I love it. I love the treasure hunt. I love going out and finding things and turning a dollar into 30, 40, $50 time and time again. It's so much fun to me. So I have had my own product. And because I realized it was several years ago with my own product, I realized you really got to have an audience and you really got to market heavily for I thought, oh, I'm going to create this product and launch it on Amazon. And yeah, I started getting traffic right away because they are such a powerhouse. But I personally struggled with maintaining that traffic. So for me, reselling, I like to resell brands that are already have a huge brand following. I live in Orlando, so I sell a lot of Disney items. I can get a ton of Disney down here for garage sales, estate sales, thrift stores, consignment, you name it, and keep it going that way. So that's my
Yeah,
business model.
nice. Okay, so for that retail entrepreneur that hasn't really jumped online yet, it's hard to
Mhm.
believe, but there are still some that
Right.
that have not made that big leap. Do you suggest that getting to one of these bigger marketplaces is a good place to start to get your feet wet and turning inventory over online?
I do. And it may not be all of your inventory, maybe kind of like when we see the Black Fridays, the leader ads where we see that you can get a computer for $200 and it brings people in the door.
Right.
I see that the same way for bringing people to your website, whether you're doing it for retail, putting it on the big powerhouses, and then maybe being able to do some backup marketing once they receive the package in the mail. Also doing blogs where you live in a digital age, doing things that are going to drive people to our website is key so that we can stand out amidst the noise
Mhm.
that we're seeing online today.
And is your sort of first or your go-to form of getting your message out, is it vlogging? Get them to your YouTube page and you share those messages, through a video blog?
It is video. I do the podcasting, but I heavily focus in on YouTube. And then, just the social media channels and my email list, and free content that I love to give out to sign up for my email list. But YouTube, I learned about 2 or 3 years ago that Google's the biggest search engine in the world, and YouTube is the second, and
Right.
it's owned by Google. And so we can optimize all that free traffic. So for businesses, recommending them to do educational content, I can go into a lot. I love it. Keyword research, reverse engineering your videos to draw that audience that's already there to take notice to what you have to offer.
So today, our retail audience that's
Mhm.
jumped both feet into digital
Yeah.
marketing of some form, whether social or some have their own YouTube channels or selling live on, Facebook or whatever.
Yeah. Or
Um,
water. Yeah.
how do they think about reverse engineering videos to draw people in? They
Yeah.
get on there with their iPhone and they start to record, style sessions or outfits. What do you mean when you say reverse engineer a video to bring people in?
It depends on the content. So what I like to think of. So for instance, for my example, I have educational content, digital content. I have my book about to be published again, it was ebook into paper.
Mm,
But I'm thinking of the person that I'm serving. So that person that I'm serving that would be interested in this type of content, then I like to think, okay, so I know who this person is. Now, what are they interested in around this topic? What are some questions that they commonly have or pain points that I can address, that if I'm serving them by answering those pain points, then they're like, oh, well, she's gained trust in my eyes. Therefore, what else does she have to offer? And doing it that way. So as a retailer, I would recommend things that are around that would draw people in. It may be social media, depending on the item,
right.
but different ways that they can short form content, TikTok, Reels, that type of thing are really hot right now. Could be ways that you can draw people in through, and then through your bio, you have your link for your store and such.
Okay. What are some what we'll call obstacles or pitfalls, as you write?
Mhm.
What are
Yeah.
some of the pitfalls that we should be acutely aware of as we get started?
Spreading yourself too thin. I've been guilty of that. We are in an information age. We have a ton of stuff coming at us. We're like, oh, well, we can do this. Oh no, well, we can do this. But just writing that down, putting it on your list of okay, but making sure you're making actionable steps that are really going to achieve the goal that you want. You just because you may want to launch a YouTube channel to help build your exposure online, make sure that your systems are in place for your business, what you can do right now, and then just build layer upon layer. I've been guilty myself of spreading myself too thin, as you can tell from the bio, having my hands on tons of stuff. So just that could be a word of wisdom that I've learned through the years. Make sure that you're just doing actionable steps, little by little, building upon it.
And so you use that term, layered approach. Dig a little
Yeah.
deeper for me. What does it look like for someone to layer the workload or to layer their approach to selling online?
I love that question. I think the biggest thing that I've learned through the years is scaling properly in a healthy way, that you're not detrimenting your business and you're growing in a way that you're going to look back and smile on. Are you optimizing your systems? Are you doing everything that you can do? Are you being strict with your schedule? If you're a full-time self-employed entrepreneur, are you really being strict with your schedule? You're being a little lackadaisical with
Yeah.
your day. Is there ways that you can squeeze out more time to focus on what you're doing already? And if you are doing everything to the optimal, then maybe it's time to look into outsourcing some things. I think sometimes we jump a little too quick to build too fast when we really could take care of things in-house before we level up to the next step.
Yeah. And is then that idea to take a step back,
Mhm.
does that stop us from growing too quickly, which sounds maybe a little strange, but growing too quickly can be the thing that overloads us.
Yes.
And we don't get to enjoy each rung of the ladder as we climb
Right.
and watch our business break through every glass ceiling every month, every quarter, every year. How do we control that? Control isn't the right word, but how do we influence consistent, steady growth instead of growth that consumes us and doesn't allow us to really enjoy the fruits of our labor?
Yes, I think in my earlier years, I just ran hard and heavy. Like my dad would always say, I burnt the candle at both ends, and I experienced some physical results. I don't mind
Yeah.
saying I experienced 2 strokes as a result of that. And so I had to learn, all right, dial it back, making sure sometimes fast and going hard and heavy isn't always the best way, because if you don't have those foundations in place, it's kind of like building a house. If you don't take the
Yeah.
time to build that foundation, then when you start paying for ads and you start marketing, you start doing these different things, the things are going to crumble because your foundation isn't there. Do you have a good schedule set in place? Are you optimizing everything? Are you budgeting? Are you, I know the B word, are you really looking at your numbers, or are you just making a pile on your desk of, oh, I got to get to that. The business is growing. I don't have time to do that. No, your business can't grow unless you know your numbers, because the numbers never lie. So
Wow, I'd
just
love you to say
doing
that
things,
again. Yeah.
yeah, the numbers are very, they tell the truth, don't
Yeah.
they?
They
You
do.
know,
I often say to people, there's a difference between what we believe and what we believe to be true and what we can prove to be true. And
yeah.
in most of our businesses, the only true story comes from black and white numbers. It
Yeah.
is, there's not a layer of emotional attachment to
Mm-mm.
to the performance. This is what I
Yeah.
bought, this is what I sold, this is the gross profit, this is where my expenses are.
Right.
It tells such a clear truth, and too many of us are lax in maintaining. I like to think of them as scorecards. I
Yeah.
lean heavily on scorecards to tell me whether I'm on track or off track, but that also
Mhm.
comes, knowing when you're on track or off track means you know where you're headed.
Yeah.
And I worry that too many of us don't really know where we're headed. We're in a car with a stranger,
Yeah.
and they're controlling our destination instead of us really strategically planning out what that next step looks like. Do you find
Absolutely.
yourself running into those same kinds of challenges where you're sort of riding in a car with somebody else, or have you really nailed down, this is where I'm going this quarter, this year, and I'm staying the course?
I think we always have room for improvement, but I'm so much better than I used to be. I have learned, because I used to think run hard and heavy, work as much as I possibly physically can work, and maybe work a little bit harder. There's more that I can give, there's more I can do, there's more profit out there. But then I realized that there comes a lot of power in our business, in the quiet times, in
Right.
the setting the goals and sitting down and really truly looking at it, having trusted advisors, whether they're people you're paying or people that are just your friends or family, looking in and saying, hey, what do you think of this? And truly taking your time, not being lazy, not being slack, but truly pacing the hard, running hard with the looking at the future and pace setting and saying, okay, how are we doing every quarter? All right, am I on track for where I want to be next?
Yeah.
And continuing to do that quarterly and also yearly is a habit of mine that I always can improve, but I definitely have come a long way on.
Hmm. So you talked about, advisors or trusted
Mhm.
advisors. Do you have a circle of influence that you lean on?
Yes, and in the last probably, I don't mind to say I'm almost 50, and that's probably been the biggest wisdom I've learned in this decade of life, is surrounding myself with people that have either already been there, or are not going to fluff it. They're going to tell me the truth, and then truly listening to their advice. So yes, I pay for coaching. I pay for people that have. I'm not paying for people that are on my same level. I want to pay for
Right.
people that are way blasting it far, far
Right.
beyond what I'm doing, because there's so much I can learn in growing that ladder based on people who've already been on that journey.
Yeah, and I think they can also help avoid, mistakes that they made. And
Yeah.
as someone who spends 80% of his time coaching retail
Mhm.
entrepreneurs, I always try to draw a correlation in my own retail journey. Okay. And without
Mhm.
saying been there, done that, stay away. It's like, okay,
Right.
well, here are some of the challenges that you'll be faced with. Here is, that idea of feel, felt, found. I feel like
Mhm.
this is what's going to happen. And I have found this through, you know, this experience of mine. Let's make sure we're paying attention to these, whether they're key metrics or tent poles or, flags that will present themselves
Right.
as obstacles that we need to plan over, around, under, through, to continue moving the business forward.
Yeah, that's so wise that you do that, because people really need that.
They do. I mean, I feel like I need it.
Yeah, don't we all?
And I'm like you, I look to people that are in a different place than I am. I don't, I don't mind swimming in the same pool as people,
Right.
but I truly believe in a better class of life. I believe in the power of classes. And if you're at this level, you're a level 3 and I'm a level 2, I want to know what it takes to get to that next level and what tools are available, that you're using that maybe I could use, not to copy, not to replicate, but to take what you do well, adopt it as my own, massage it as my own, and adjust.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
So true. You wouldn't go to the gym and pay someone good money to coach you to get into shape for a marathon if they haven't run one themselves. You truly do need someone that has been there already. I mean, like you said, it's great to swim in the same pool with people. That's not the problem. But when I'm looking at trying to goal set and I'm looking at how to grow, I need someone who has already been there before.
Yeah, nice. Is there anything in that sort of advisory world or circle of influence world that is negative, that can be a potential setback or roadblock instead of a catapult forward?
I love that. Great question. I think our human nature is to compare ourselves to others. And so when we are surrounded with people and we're trying to grow and be better, but sometimes we need to make sure that the negative part of it is that we don't come too hard on ourselves. Like even just yesterday, Dana, I took the time because I had a day where I was spending more time than a normal on the book, getting, with the editors and going back and forth on some things. I'm like, oh, I'm not getting my other stuff done. And at the end of the day, I'm like, no, I took the time to write down the accomplishments, the achievements, where I am, because sometimes when we look at where other people are with their businesses, it can make us feel like, oh, I should have done this today because that's what my coach is doing. So why didn't I get this many listings listed today? That type of thing.
Good. Love that. Okay. So give us a good reminder. Where do we find more information? How do we find you on YouTube? Let's leave our audience with some way to go back and find out a little bit more, and even subscribe to your channel to get some of that good wisdom.
Thank you. Yes, it's Paladin Global Market. Paladin is a holy knight, and my husband helped me come up with the name. He's a big gamer, so he always likes to, he's a police officer from years back and SWAT and all that. He's my superhero. Yeah. So he always likes to play the good guy, the fighter. And so that's where that comes from. So it's Paladin Global Market. And if anybody has any questions, I know my path may be a little bit different than Shopify and that type of thing. Although I've had that before, I'm happy to help. I'd love to see you there.
Awesome. Retailers, head over to Michelle's YouTube channel, find out a little bit more there. You can find her. I found her, of course, on Instagram, LinkedIn, all of the social channels. Check her out. If you have not subscribed to the Canadian Retail Solutions weekly newsletter, please head over to retailbycrs.com, subscribe to that weekly newsletter, get a copy of this podcast, a copy of what's available on Michelle's YouTube channel. We'll make sure that we've got a good link there and a link to her website, and a ton of other decent information that our team at Canadian Retail Solutions shares. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us. It was truly a pleasure to chat with you.
Absolutely. It was such a pleasure. You have the best radio announcer voice, Dan, I must say.
I've got a face for radio.
No, you got a great face too. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you. Retailers, hope you have a great weekend. We'll catch up with you again next week.